Welcome to Awaken the Mind, the NLP and Hypnosis Guide,
Relax.
hosted by David Uhas.
You're listening to Awaken the Mind, the NLP and Hypnosis Guide, a podcast that inspires the curious to the professional to discover meaningful content and pursue their passions. My name is David Uhas, and I'm a master NLP practitioner and hypnotist, best known for losing over 100 pounds and running 6 marathons in 2 years. And I'm sitting down with hypnotists, NLP practitioners, and coaches to talk about their process, the lessons they've learned, and how to make an impact in the lives of others.
Our guest today is LaChon Yeldell. LaChon, otherwise known as My Psychic Love Coach, is a love coach, intuitive, and energy healer. She works with single women to help heal their blockages to true and fulfilling love and find and attract the true love and ideal relationships they're seeking. LaChon has worked with hundreds of women and some men to successfully find the love of their lives and create their dream relationships. Those who have worked with LaChon have attracted their soulmates, long-term relationships, and even marriage partners. Please give our guest today, LaChon, a warm welcome. Hello, LaChon.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And as you can tell, this is our Valentine's Day show, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So what's the weather like where you're at right now?
I live in Palm Springs, so it's always hot. All year round, it's hot. So it's likely hot outside, no matter what hour, no matter what time of the day, it's just hot.
Well, this is the Love Coach show, so that's appropriate.
Yeah, it is. You're right. I should live in a hot place, huh?
That's right. So this is our Valentine's Love Show, and I reached out to you because I thought this would be the perfect show to talk with a love coach. So we've got a lot of great content for the listeners today on how to attract the healthy love in your life, how to avoid toxic relationships and attract healthy relationships. That is the purpose for our show today. Tell me a little bit about how you got into being a love coach.
So I got into being a love coach based on my past experiences and just working with so many people on their relationships. I have had challenging relationships in the past, and through my relationships, I went on my whole healing journey so I can attract something better. So I put in the work, and I'm also a YouTuber, and I do love readings on YouTube. And after working with so many people, I realized that so many of us have had challenges in relationships, and it's so fulfilling to be able to help people find the love of their lives and heal their past in order to bring better relationships in their future. So by seeing how much I was able to help those who came to me and the help that I was giving them, that led me to want to pursue this avenue full time.
I would like to give just a little preview of what's to come during this show. We're going to start off talking about toxic relationships, move into limiting beliefs, and then into healthy relationships, where we are going to finish with that because that's what we're here for today. Tell me about toxic relationships, how to identify toxic relationships, including narcissistic personalities. What does that look like, and what are some of the red flags?
So for the people that don't know what toxic relationships look like in the beginning, it's really easy to fall into them because toxic relationships, they come across as if they are the perfect relationship. So the toxic partner will come across in a way where they seem like the knight in shining armor, the Prince Charming. They make early declarations of being soulmates. They may say that they love you very, very soon into the relationship. They want to spend all their time with you. They treat you like you are just the best thing in the world, very helpful, very caring, and they kind of make it an instant companion to you. And for the person that's looking for love, for us, it looks like, oh my gosh, how wonderful is this relationship? Oh my gosh, this person really likes me. This person really cares for me. But they don't know, we don't know in that situation that we're actually being set up and groomed to be in a toxic relationship. So that's generally how they start.
What are some of the red flags?
They rush intimacy. They're always very, very charming. Oh, they're so charming. They just want to sweep you off your feet. They can give you gifts. You know, they give you gifts. They're so helpful. They're so good to you. Paying attention to conversations is very important, because oftentimes they'll tell you who they are. I remember I was talking to someone once on a dating site. I was talking to someone, and this person says, "Oh, I'm a really good guy. I'm a really good guy, not in a narcissistic kind of way." And I just thought, oh, okay, this person just gave themselves away. First off, if a person has to convince you that they're a good guy, if they have to tell you over and over again that they're a good guy, they're probably not a good guy. These people also tend to have a lot of crazy exes in their past. And they'll say, oh, I had this bipolar ex. I had this crazy ex. And then they'll compare you to that person, you know, in a positive way. Oh, you're nothing like them. They like to play the victim a lot, or they like to have this kind of attitude like, oh, woe is me, I need you to take care of me, kind of thing, to get sympathy. Oh my gosh, these people like to project their personalities onto you, and they have really negative personalities. So they will project their toxicity onto you. One thing that they like to do is they like to look at your profile and find out everything about you. Your likes, your dislikes. And then in the beginning of the connection, when they're building the connection, they'll say, oh, I like this. Oh, I like that. And they already know that those are your likes and dislikes. So you're like, oh my gosh, I like that thing too. And it's a way for them to build rapport with you. Another red flag is, so in the beginning, you know, they're very, very nice and charming and kind. And then all of a sudden, what they'll do is just go silent. They'll just go silent. And this especially happens when they tend to get your affections and emotions. And when they realize that they've kind of reeled you in, they've groomed you and reeled you in, then they end up just falling off the face of the planet, because they're trying to evoke your fear of abandonment. They're trying to evoke your fear of abandonment when they leave. And they know that when they go away, we're over here in the background like, wait, where did this person go? Does this person still love me? What happened? We're so in love, and all of a sudden this person leaves. And then they wait a few days, and then they come back all of a sudden to kind of create a rescue thing. So then you feel rescued. And the trouble with that is it creates an addiction. It creates an addiction in our mind, because when they leave, when the partner leaves, well, first off, when the partner's there and they're always giving us this affection, this attention, the dopamine in our brain, which is the pleasure neurotransmitter, what gives us pleasure. So when you eat a piece of chocolate, the dopamine goes off in your brain. When you're seeing something you like, the dopamine goes off in your brain and makes you happy. So when they are giving you all this attention and affection, then that happy factor, that happy chemical in your brain is just shooting off. Every time they compliment you, it's just, you know, shooting off. And then when they leave, you're not getting that happiness that your brain has gotten used to. And then when they come back, all of a sudden, that happy chemical in your brain starts shooting off again, just like it was before. So then they create this pattern where they leave and they come back, especially in the beginning. They do this a lot in the beginning. They leave and come back, and that literally creates an addiction in your brain, because whenever they leave, all you can think about is that next fix for that person. So it's a really challenging cycle. It's a really challenging cycle that they are really good at building in the beginning. So another red flag will be they're consistent or inconsistent. When they're inconsistent, that's definitely a red flag. Also, when they want to constantly be in communication with you in the beginning, that's not a good sign as well. And it's interesting because I'm in a narcissistic recovery group on Facebook, and I noticed that a lot of people were saying how in the very beginning, they divulged all their secrets and they just came out with their personalities and who they are and everything about them. And they were talking all the time. They were spending time together. So they formed a bond, so they thought very, very quickly. And this can be a huge red flag because really in healthy relationships, you get to know somebody over time. You don't just rush into something, and that can be very challenging as well, because then again, with that brain centered thing and the happy factor going off, this person just provides so much stimulation in your life that your brain is kind of on overload with all this happiness. And that again kind of reels you into the relationship. But that constant communication, constant visiting can be a red flag, because really when we are forming relationships, we want to keep our own lives. But if all of a sudden a person seems to abandon what they were doing on a daily basis and all of a sudden insert themselves in your life, that can be, an indicator of beginning a toxic relationship.
As you were talking about that, it made me wonder, how does intuition play into this? Somebody having a gut feeling early on, is that something people will get and they ignore, or is that something?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's exactly what happens. And I hear it so often, and I know I experienced that in my past, and when I talk to other people, they experience it, and it's a common thing, especially because narcissists and empaths seem to go together. And empaths are those of us who have a very strong ability to feel and sense things. And narcissists and, those who are toxic really, really enjoy empaths. So we often tend to sense something in the very beginning. I know in my personal experience, I was having a conversation with someone about, he was saying, oh, I'm in massage school. Oh, okay, cool, that's great. How long have you been going? Oh, I've been going for this amount of time. And then later on, I asked, oh, how's massage school? When do you have time to do it? And the person says, oh, no, I just said I just study it. I didn't say I was in school. I said I just studied it. And in my mind, I thought, oh, was that me? Or, and I got a bad feeling about it, but I wasn't, I didn't want to question. I wasn't sure. So I felt that something was off. Every time, I've come into contact with a narcissist, I felt that something was off, but I didn't want to follow it, because you kind of want to believe, that the person is who they are presenting themselves as. So that's actually a really important point that you mentioned, following through on intuitive insights and feelings, because most of the time our intuition is right, but the narcissists or those, trying to get you in a toxic relationship will do something called gaslighting after the movie. And they will get you to question your intuition and question your reality. And that causes problems later, because that causes a disconnect where we start to question our choices and our thoughts and our actions in everyday life.
Something else you mentioned that kind of made me think about the relationships that I've seen with people who have been in toxic relationships. When somebody says they're going to do something and they don't do what they say, basically they say one thing and do something else, and you're like, wait a minute, there's something off here. I don't listen to words much anymore when I'm working with people. I'm more interested in watching what they're doing, because the words are almost like the smoke and mirrors. How does that play into the...
It's so true. With these types of people, they love to make empty promises, and they love to tell you things and they don't follow through. And then it's interesting, because that's also a way that they can brainwash and gaslight as well. For example, someone can say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. And then you find out that they actually went to their mother's house. Why did you tell me you were going to the gym? And they'll do that about the smallest things that they don't even need to be dishonest about, but they'll do that about the smallest things, and it'll just create confusion. They do it to create confusion. So a lot of the time, the words and the actions do not match. And that's why it's so important to look at actions and not words.
Confusion is actually a method of hypnosis. Confusion creates a trance.
Yeah.
I don't know that they know maybe what
Yes.
they're doing, but I'm sure that I don't know. Do they know they're doing it, or they did not know they're doing it?
They do. Most of the time they do. And then they use like NLP language and hypnotic language as well. on purpose. But
Yeah.
they don't know, they don't have a background in hypnosis or NLP, but they instinctively do these things.
I know someone who is a narcissist, and he's incredibly good with storytelling. And of course, metaphors are so freaking powerful. And finally figured out what he was doing. The particular one I knew anyway, he was excellent with metaphors.
Right. You know, that seems like another red flag to me too. Even though it's not a common one, you wouldn't think about it being common, but that's storytelling. If somebody's so great at telling stories and has a million stories and
Jeez.
likes to have all that attention on themselves, you know, I think that's a new red flag.
Tell me about, we talked last time about love bombing. Did you already talk about that a little bit with the red flags? Or?
Yeah. In the beginning of the relationship, how they start off the love bombing, where they seem like the Prince Charming, like the knight in shining armor, and you know they give their all into this connection, make you feel like you're just so special and the best thing on the in the world, and oh my gosh, they love you. How did they ever live without you? And then all of a sudden they do that disappearing thing. And that's the end of the love bombing stage, when they do that disappearing act, because they've already successfully, carried out their agenda to groom you and reel you in. So that love bombing thing is just really important, because a lot of the time, when we don't know what love bombing is, so it's disguised as real love. So it's really important to know the difference and to have that sense and recognition that if something is too good to be true, something seems too good to be true, then it probably is.
We talked about this 2 interviews ago, the 5 love languages. And he talks about how, as they say, love is blind. I think it was described as to reproduce. You don't see the flaws in somebody else for like the first 2 years. Genetically, that's how, we evolved as a species, that the first 2 years that there's a lot of chemical. So how does that play into this, how cautious one should be?
Love is more of a journey, not a destination. So when you're getting to know someone in the very beginning, it's best to just get to know the person and even think about it as being something long-term. So there's no rush to get to know the person. And just observe the person's personality, observe their consistency over time, and just continue to do so over time until you feel comfortable enough, or you feel as though you've seen that the person's words match their actions, and that they mean what they say and say what they mean, and they're consistent, they're consistently treating you well and consistently respectful of themselves and caring, and just over time seeing if that's how they are, and then from there kind of making your decision. I don't really recommend rushing into even boyfriend, girlfriend, kind of relationships, rushing into those, because like you said, we don't know the person at first. And especially within the first few months, we're putting on our best face. We're putting our best foot forward because we want the person to like us. So we're putting on our best face. So we have to get to know somebody consistently over time to make a realistic judgment as to how they're going to be in a long-term romantic relationship.
We were talking about how media warps and distorts what relationships should look like. Can you talk on that?
Yes. So I have to say I'm guilty of watching talk shows. I like watching talk shows because I just find them so interesting. And a lot of the time when I'm watching talk shows, there are a lot of relationships and relationship issues on there. And it's so interesting how there's all this cheating on in the media, on talk shows. There's a whole show dedicated to cheating. And when we watch these shows, we start to kind of think that this is what love looks like. And we're watching these toxic relationships for entertainment. And so we start to kind of blur the lines, thinking that, well, maybe this person is going to hurt me or do this to me, or we start to think that these things are normal. The media has normalized toxic relationships, has normalized infidelity, has normalized, abuse and verbal abuse and emotional abuse. And we start to think that that's, you know, normal. We start to think that that's what relationships are supposed to be like, but it's, you know, it's not. The things that we see on television about relationships, even some dramas, the types of relationships we see in television and in movies, they're not realistic. And then on the flip side of that, some of us like to watch things like Disney movies. You know, we like to watch those movies where there are these beautiful, beautiful love stories. And then we finish watching the movie thinking, oh my gosh, I want that to happen to me. I want that same love story. So then we start looking for the Prince Charming. And then when that Prince Charming comes along and wants to offer us the moon and the stars in a month, right away, then we're back into that toxic dynamic. So it's kind of like a catch-22, you know? So yeah, the media has really, really warped our sense of what a healthy and happy relationship is.
The motivational speaker, he was talking about finding people who have already done something successfully, and he has role models for him and his wife, and this gentleman is like in his 50s, who his role models are in their 70s and they're still married. You know,
oh, that's nice.
You know, to watch that kind, you know, because you want to know how you doing it. How did you do
right.
it? If there are listeners and they're in an abusive, troubled relationship, what are some resources for people to go to?
One, I recommend going online and typing in, you know, abusive relationship or narcissistic abuse. And there are going to be a lot of different resources in your state and in your city. Of course, if anyone's in immediate danger, to call 911 or call the domestic violence helpline. There's some other resources like the When Georgia Smiles, well, not corporation, but When Georgia Smiles. And there's also the Aspire Initiative. And the Aspire Initiative, one has a course that you can take that teaches you about the red flags and the signs of abusive relationships and how to avoid them and how to be safe. And then it also has this really great app where you download the app, it's on your phone, it has a link, or it has an icon that looks like any normal news app. And if you are in a situation where you feel like you might be in danger, then you just click the app 3 times with it on your phone. You don't have to go into it, just click it 3 times, and automatically it starts recording what's going on in the room. It starts recording the sound, and it also sends a pre-recorded message to your friends or your family or your neighbors or even 911. So you can say on that message, I'm in trouble, come help. Or can you come knock on the door? Can you come check on me? And the person who has that, who gets that, who's set up for the pre-recorded message will receive that. So that's another way where you can stay safe. But there are also so many support groups as well that are local. So there are a lot of local resources that can be utilized.
You talked about an exit plan. What are some important things?
So an exit plan is really important to have, especially because in the 2 weeks following leaving an abusive relationship, that is the time when abusers are most likely to step it up, step their violence, step their anger up, and really cause damage, you know, physical damage, physical violence, or even death. So it's really important to have an exit plan where you have someone's house to go to, or have a shelter set up, have a bed at a shelter set up, get your bag of clothes, get your important documents, you know, let others know that you are leaving this relationship. And, you know, go ahead and leave, not at a time when that person is there, but go ahead and make your exit and make sure that you are somewhere safe. And that's really important to avoid that violence or avoid that backlash that often happens when you leave that kind of relationship, when you take back your control.
Now transitioning into the happy part of the show. Yay!
Yay!
There is a little transition moving into healthy relationships. There's some things that stop people possibly. Talk about limiting beliefs.
So, limiting beliefs. We all have limiting beliefs about so many things in our lives. We have them about love, ourselves, money, our career. We just come programmed with limiting beliefs. And these are beliefs that hinder us, well, in terms of love, that keep us from attracting and finding the best relationship possible. So, limiting beliefs can be conscious or unconscious. Sometimes we don't even know that we have these beliefs. They're just ingrained in our subconscious, and that can be from childhood and from our early programming. So we can have beliefs such as, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, or even beliefs about relationships such as, I'm going to lose my freedom in a relationship, or I'm going to lose my control and have to do what the other person says in relationships. And subconsciously or unconsciously, that causes us to behave in certain ways that can sabotage our own, ability to achieve the kind of relationship that we want. So, for example, when we have a sense of being unlovable, then we will attract a partner, and we will become attracted to a partner who in turn makes us feel even more unlovable, which kind of confirms our belief of being unlovable. So we can attract that toxic relationship because a person's not going to show us the love that we deserve. And then in our minds, we say, see, I told you, see, I'm not lovable. And that's why this person is treating me like this. So limiting beliefs are really important to heal and to acknowledge and to know, so we don't create those kinds of dynamics.
So how do you deal with a limiting belief? If somebody has a belief that I'm unlovable, how do you work with somebody with that sort of a belief, or a different limiting belief?
There are different ways to work with limiting beliefs. One way is to just do some self-exploration. I recommend writing, journaling, and you can think about, what is it that can be blocking you from love? Or, one thing that I like to do is just write down a feeling and then just keep on writing from there. And that'll kind of, uncover these things. So you can say something like, I can't find love, and then just keep on writing, and your limiting beliefs can surface and the solution can surface as well. And another thing that you can do is work with a coach or a psychic love coach who has the ability from afar to access those limiting beliefs. And that's actually something that I'm doing in my program, which we'll talk about. But I have the ability, or psychic coaches have the ability to access limiting beliefs that you may not know that you have. And from there, we can go in and clear them and replace them with better beliefs, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to uncover the beliefs, and then we want to replace them with a better belief.
What do healthy relationships look like?
So healthy relationships are delicious and wonderful, and they make you feel good, and they're healthy, and they're interdependent. They're interdependent, which is something really important, because those toxic relationships tend to be more codependent. So in healthy relationships, it starts off with no rush. There's no rush into the relationship. There's no pressure. There's no pressure to establish intimacy. There's no rush or pressure to establish love. Your life continues as normal because we're interdependent. So we are not bringing all of ourselves to each other, are looking for the other half of ourselves within our partner. We are two healthy people, healthy on our own, with self-love, who come together to bring the best of ourselves to one another. Our lives continue as normal, and we continue doing the things that make us happy, our hobbies. We continue spending time with friends and family, as opposed to isolating ourselves and being with our partners. Like I said, there's no pressure to move the relationship forward. Also, the relationship evolves over time. Just as we were speaking about before, it evolves over a period of time. There's no rush. You don't have to form it and get together within a month. You don't have to get married within 6 months. You don't come together right away. Things evolve organically over time as we are maintaining our separate lives. And we can come together and have date nights, come together and enjoy, spending time together. But there isn't a constant access to each other and constant contact and, always together, because that's more codependent. There's healthy communication as well. When in toxic relationships or entering into toxic relationships, a lot of the time you talk about everything about yourself. And that's also because the narcissist or the toxic partner, the one that's creating this whole thing, wants to know everything about you, wants to know your likes, dislikes, your fears, so they can use that against you later. But in this case, in healthy relationships, you disclose in healthy timing, in appropriate timing, and you disclose what you want to disclose, in appropriate timing. You don't have to give all of yourself away. Also, you have things that you share, you have things that you don't share. You have likes, things that you both like, you have differences. There's not just everything we like, we all like the same thing, like in a toxic relationship. Oh my gosh, you like that type of music? So do I. You like this type of food? Oh my gosh, that's my favorite type of food too. So you're able to have differences, and that's okay. So these are some signs of entering into a healthy relationship. And it's really all about the feeling too, how it makes you feel, because with toxic relationships, you're looking around, you're like, why am I so unhappy? Why is this happening? Why are there ups and downs? In a healthy relationship, it's just consistent. And what's another interesting thing, the difference in toxic and healthy relationships? When in toxic relationships, there's so much energy going on. You have to expend so much energy with the ups and the downs and the chaos and things like that. And in healthy relationships, they can almost seem boring. I'm going to say that in quotes. They can almost seem, air quotes, they can almost seem boring because they don't have that constant up and down and chaotic feelings and that intensity. So you want to look for that boredom, but it's actually really not boredom, because it's fun, and you can do fun things together, and it's fun in a whole different wonderful way. But there's a contrast there. So that's another way you can distinguish the relationships from each other. Things are just good and fine. That's likely a healthier type of relationship. So that's another really big thing in healthy relationships too.
What are some ways to attract healthy relationships?
Well, there are so many ways. There's so many ways to attract healthy relationships. One way is really focusing on self-love. That's really the most important thing. You want to focus on self-love, because the more you love yourself, the more you're able to attract a person who is going to love you as well. Partners meet us where we're at, and we attract people that meet us where we're at because we all have a certain vibration. We all have a certain energy. We have auric fields, which are just like an energy bubble around us. And if we have a lack of self-love, people who want to prey on that can sense that. So we attract partners depending on our energy. And if we have a low vibration, we can't see it, people can't see it, but they can sense it. So predators will be more drawn to that. So it's important to have that self-love, because one, we teach people how to treat us. And if we have self-love and respect for ourselves, then we are going to demand that from others. And really, only those who have the ability to do that will be attracted to us, or will we attract, because those who are not on that vibration, they're busy chasing the other person without the self-love. So self-love, self-respect, all those things are really important to cultivate and to work on consistently. Another way to attract love is by there's so many tools, there's so many manifestation tools. For example, one thing that I did to attract love was use crystals, in particular rose quartz. So rose quartz crystal is the crystal of love, of universal love, of unconditional love, of self-love, and also romantic love. And an interesting story, a long time ago when I was searching for a partner, or when I wanted to attract a new partner, I got a rose quartz stone and I programmed it with love and the intention to attract love. And I kept the stone on me. I actually put it under my pillow every night. And within that month, I ended up attracting a partner. So the other way that I attracted this partner, so I did these things in tandem. Another thing that I did is I set my intention and I wrote a request to the universe about what I wanted, the type of relationship that I wanted, the partner that I wanted, what I wanted this person to look like, be like, what I wanted to experience with this person. And with that request to the universe, as well as the rose quartz stone that was programmed to find love, again, in a month, I ended up attracting that person. So that's another, it's fascinating. It's so much fun too. When you set your intention and you see the person come into your life and it's just like, how did I do that? You know, but you do it. Another way that you can attract love is a tool that I like to use, and they're called switch words. Now, switch words are words or phrases, individual words or phrases that bypass the conscious mind and go straight into the subconscious. So by repeating these words and by using these words, it goes straight into the subconscious and you're able to attract love to you. And rose quartz is even a switch word. So rose quartz, the switch word, helps to bring universal love. It helps to restore harmony in relationships, and it helps to bring universal love. It also helps to heal and clear your heart chakra to attract love and romance and friendship. And it also creates inner healing. So by repeating rose quartz, it helps increase your love vibration. And you know how we were talking about chemicals in the very beginning, and for that first 2 years, oxytocin is also a switch word, which is the love chemical. It's the chemical that goes off in our brains when we hug our pets, when we hug our partners, when we have sex. Oxytocin is what's being fired in our brain. So saying the switch word oxytocin is a love hormone, and it helps to reinforce affection, love, and fondness, and an emotional bond and loyalty between couples. So there are so many switch words that can be used. These are just two. There are so many switch words that can be used.
What about the law of attraction? We talked about this before. How does, and you mentioned setting your intention. So can you talk a little bit about that, or is there anything more to say about that?
The law of attraction has so much to do with this. One, by vibrating that love energy, you're attracting love to you. Also, by setting your intention and saying what you want in love, that helps to bring love to you. Now, I created something called the Attract True Love Workbook. And I absolutely love this workbook because it uses the law of attraction to bring love to you. So in my workbook, there are 3 sections. And the first section is you are calling to you your ideal love. So by thinking about what type of partner you want, the energy of the partner, these are just some examples. Thinking about how you want the partner to treat you, the more you come up with a plan and the more you are clear about what kind of relationship partner that you want to bring into your life, the easier it is for the universe to give that to you. And an example that I like to use is, say you are at a restaurant and the waiter comes out and asks what you would like to order. And you're like, oh, just surprise me. And then the waiter is going to come out and bring you something that you don't like because you weren't specific. You didn't give him direction. This is what I want. This is what I want to eat, attract. This is what I want to have. So he brings you something you don't like and you're upset, but you never set the intention. So in the next scene, let's go to the next scene. You're at the restaurant, the same restaurant. And the waiter comes and says, what do you want? And you say, I want this, 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 this. I want a hamburger with cheese on it, with Swiss cheese. And I want raw onions. I want, I don't know, 3 raw onions. That's really specific, but I want heirloom tomatoes and lettuce, iceberg lettuce. Then they know exactly what to bring you and you're happy about it. So it's kind of the same thing. You have to make your request to the universe. So also in my workbook, I help you form your ideal partner, the exact partner that you want, and then your ideal relationship, the exact relationship that you want, what you want it to look like, how you want it to feel, how you want it to be. And then in the last section, which is almost the most important section is, how do you want to be in this relationship? Who are you going to be in the relationship? Because you can bring somebody in, but if you're not aligned with this relationship, then it's going to slip through your fingers. So you also have to be that vessel to attract the relationship to you. So you have to be on a certain vibration as well. Like if you are, vibrating at a level of very low self-love or self-worth, and you're attempting to attract the ideal, happy, healthy, interdependent relationship, those things are out of alignment. So the law of attraction isn't really going to work in that case. So you have to know fully what you want, how you want it, what you want it to look like, and who you have to be to have that. And you have to be that person in the here and now. You don't wait until you're in the relationship to try to be that person. You have to be the person now so you can attract it to you now. If you wait to be the person, you're going to attract somebody who's at that lower vibration, or whoever, is at the vibration of wherever you are now. So the law of attraction is my biggest tool in manifesting love and helping others manifest love.
Tell me about writing a letter.
So writing a letter is a very powerful tool, because you can write to your partner as if it were in the present. So this is a law of attraction tool. So you can write to your future partner as if you were in the present. And that helps create that energy, because it's kind of like making the request to the universe, but you're speaking to your partner. So you can write a letter to your partner, thanking them for the wonderful relationship. The question, gratitude is also so good as well. And feeling it, feeling it in the moment as you're writing this letter, being grateful for being able to thank your partner for your relationship, telling your partner how much you love them, telling your partner how much you care about them, how much you appreciate the relationship, feeling the feelings. Oh, I'm getting chills. I'm getting into it. That's actually the first way that I manifested a partner a decade ago. So that really, really works, writing a letter. And that's also kind of writing the request, signing it on the bottom. That's setting your intention to manifest this person. So letters are very, very powerful.
Something you said reminded me of a story about my daughter. When she was younger, we would play softball together. She was the sports girl. Sometimes I would get on her about practicing a little bit harder, being the dad. And she's like, it's not the game. And I'm like, practice as if it is the game. Don't wait for the future. Act as if it's the future now. And then through that, attracting what it is that you're practicing for. So
exactly. Yeah. And visualization is so important too. That's what a lot of, big athletes do. They will visualize themselves, like basketball players will visualize themselves making the basket. Soccer players visualize themselves making the goal over and over and over again. And then when they go out to the field, or when they go out to the basketball, court, then their subconscious mind already has it, already has it in their mind. So then it's just, it's almost like muscle memory is formed by using your mind. So yeah, by pretending, or not even pretending, but it's like just acting as if you were in it now. That is a key part to attracting love to you. You don't want to wait for the future. You want to be that now, because that's how you attract. When you're already vibrating on that particular level, then the universe is like, oh, here, naturally, I'm going to give this to you because you're already here.
We're talking about ways to attract healthy relationships. Tell me about divination. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, divination. So divination tools, for example, cards, right? Like tarot cards, oracle cards is a form of divination. And I am a really big advocate on using cards for different reasons. One reason is because when I was in a toxic relationship, this is actually how I really got into reading cards. I was in a toxic relationship, and there was a disconnect between the words and the actions. And I was being told one thing, but I was hearing another, and there was this gap in my understanding because I'm like, okay, I'm seeing things. My intuition is telling me things. I'm seeing things, but I'm not sure because I'm being brainwashed and gaslighted, which I didn't know at the time, but I just knew there was a gap. So I started reading cards and reading oracle cards and reading, I do Lenormand readings, which is a French cartomancy method. And I started looking at the cards, and the cards were confirming what I knew. You know, this person is dishonest. This person is deceiving you. And the oracle cards will tell me, you know, maybe it's time for you to let go. Maybe it's time for you to walk away. Or the oracle cards will tell me, you know, how to protect myself or what to do. So that's really how I got into them. It was instrumental in me leaving the relationship as well, into knowing the underlying, because on the surface, I was only being told one thing and having this experience, but deep down inside, I knew that there was more to the situation. So I was able to get clear insight about the relationship, not just what this person was telling me through reading cards. And that's also how I was able to leave, because the cards are saying, you know what, it's time for you to leave. And I actually already knew that it wasn't going to work out from doing a reading. So when it was time for me to leave, I was able to leave easily and effortlessly, knowing that it wasn't going to work out. And another reason why cards are so important to use and why I use them is because sometimes our head and our hearts, or our heads, can, you know, not really be in touch with the reality of the situation, because we have these limiting beliefs, because we think things from our own frame of reference, from our own perspective. And sometimes what we interpret through our perspective and through our filter is not really what's going on. You know, for example, we may think that somebody has abandoned us if we have a fear of abandonment, and really this person is just busy. You know, and this person is planning on contacting you later. That's just an example. And when you do a reading, you know, what's going on, the cards will be able to alleviate that fear and just say, hey, this person's busy. And then you're able to realize, okay, it was just me. It was just my thoughts. All right, that wasn't really what was going on. So that's another way. And then my favorite way to use cards, are actually not my favorite, but one way that I really enjoy using cards is by predicting people's future partners. So that's a really fun way, by predicting when, where people meet their partners, what their partners will look like, so they know who's coming in their future. And also, so that sense that many people have, that sense of, I don't know when I'm gonna find somebody, or if I'm gonna find somebody, you know, to alleviate that fear and that worry by being able to clearly say, okay, you're gonna meet a person at this time, at this place, it's gonna look like this, it's gonna be like this, and here's how to align with this person. You know, that alleviates so much anxiety about those things. So that's another way that I like to use cards. So cards are just so useful. There's so many love oracle cards. I have my own personal deck. There's just so many uses for oracle cards when it comes to navigating relationships.
Tell me about your Single to Soulmate program that you have that's coming up.
So I am so excited because this spring I am releasing my Single to Soulmate, a 12-week journey to true love program. And this program is so fun. It's mostly one-on-one program. And this program is so fun because I'm going to be working with you or those in the program to attract true love, to become a true love magnet. And this program not only helps you attract your love, but it has such an impact on so many other areas of your life, because what we do is we go into the past, we go into those limiting beliefs, we uncover those limiting beliefs so we can heal them and we can replace them, and we kind of clear out anything that is blocking finding true love, anything that is causing us to attract toxic relationships. All that stuff we clear, we heal, we go and we look into the lessons, the karmic lessons from past relationships in order to bring that healing. So we go into clearing limiting beliefs about relationships, clearing limiting beliefs about ourselves and our self-esteem and life in general. We look into how to manifest your true desires. and how to change your life in a positive way. And it's really a program that focuses on empowerment, healing, and raising the love vibration. And another big component of it, which I'm really excited about, is I teach those in the program manifesting tools. So I teach them about certain switch words. I teach them about, crystals, and actually everyone gets a crystal that will already be programmed to attract true love to use throughout the program. And I teach all my different methods that I have used to successfully manifest and that I've taught to others to successfully manifest. So we work on manifestation during the program, even manifesting money and manifesting other things we work on. So that's also a really big component. I'm so excited to be teaching those things because really these tools allow you to manifest things in every area of your life, not just love and romance. So these are tools that you can use forever to manifest all desires, all your desires. So it's a really, really special program. It's great because it's a lot of intuitive work that I'm doing one-on-one with the members of the program. So they don't have to go in and do the really difficult self-work that could take a really long time. For example, if you were doing traditional therapy, to uncover these things, it may take a very long time. However, in this program, within an hour, I can tell you this is what's going on, the things that you don't know is going on in your brain, and let's replace it. And we replace it with something better. So really all areas of your life improve. And that's something that we focus on as well. So it's all about empowering, living your best life, becoming the best version of yourself, and attracting true love.
What's coming up for you other than your love attracting single to soulmate program?
Well, pretty soon I'm going to be starting a podcast with one of my best friends, and it's going to be really, really fun. We have a great energy with each other. We've known each other since we were in college at UC Santa Cruz, which is an amazing place to be. So we've known each other for a long time. We have a lot of fun things to talk about. So I'm really excited to be starting the podcast. So that's something that is coming up for me.
Well, I'm excited about that. I look forward to listening to that. What is the best way for our guests to get a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me through my website, which is mypsychiclovecoach.com. You can also find me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, My Psychic Love Coach, where I do monthly, mid-monthly, and additional love readings all for free. So My Psychic Love Coach on YouTube. Also, you can find me on Instagram at My Psychic Love Coach as well, and on Facebook. And you can email me at contact@mypsychiclovecoach.com.
Well, thank you, LaChon. I so enjoyed your energy and your smiles today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Would love to have you back on the show anytime. Thank you, My Psychic Love Coach, LaChon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today with Awaken the Mind, hosted by David Uhas.
Relax. Awaken the mind. You need to understand. If you can't, you must. And if you must, you can. Now that I got you, let me put you in a trance. Got you feeling hypnotic. Your mind, let me massage it. Your thoughts are getting quiet. Your stress subsiding. You starting to see images, but it ain't no mirages. Think it's time to calibrate. Take a breath and concentrate. Get into your subconscious. Time to feel the energy, the brain waves. Let's go deep into your memory. Beware of self. Let the worries melt. All you see is you and you don't see no one else. Auditory digital, talking to yourself. It might seem bizarre, a feeling you never felt. This is your time to shine. Awaken the mind, the NLP and hypnosis guide. Yeah.